Good afternoon, everyone. So today's module is all about creation. And I specifically wanted to focus on the topic because we are, as humans, powerful creators. And of course, it's nothing that anybody teaches us when we are young, and therefore we get disconnected from the power of creation. And instead of creating our life consciously, we kind of create it by default. So a lot of people make very unconscious choices that lead to very unconscious decisions, and then they get the same known results, wondering why their lives are stuck and why they're not moving anywhere forward. So, I mean, it's probably like a Groundhog Day, right? There's a great movie where this guy wakes up in the same day every single day over and over again. And, you know, people don't even realize sometimes that they're stuck in this matrix where everything is the same every single day in and out. And unfortunately, often it takes a moment of crisis or some kind of significant event before someone really would realize what's going on with them in their life, before they start making different choices, create different results in their lives. And for others, you know, I mean, they might just like wake up one day, they just wake up and have a look around and say, what the hell, I'm just basically like copying and pasting my life from the previous experiences. I'm feeling stuck. What can I do? And the thing is, this little nudge, that little kind of calling, I guess, can be so subtle and so soft that it can easily be ignored, you know. And instead of really starting digging deeper within yourself, people start reaching out for things outside of them. So whether it's buying a new car, going on a holiday and buying shoes, or changing the job, or selling the house and moving somewhere else. But eventually, even that is not going to help. Okay, that void, that disconnect just gets bigger, bigger and bigger, and they don't understand that that's just the soul cry. That's what's, you know, this is that something that, you know, the higher selves, the soul is calling for them to do something different with their lives. So, and the reason I know that is because I was that person, and it requires really a lot of work to unravel all of this years of beliefs and patterning and conditioning. Actually, I don't think you can ever get to the bottom of it. And it's not an easy work, because you don't see the actual physical, tangible results. You know, like, let's say I go to the gym, I'll train my arms and I'll get nice biceps, or maybe I'll get a flat stomach eventually. That would be nice. But with work like that, you have to do so much inner work. And of course, you know, for everybody it's different. For some people, it's harder than for others. For some people, you need longer time than others. And a lot of the time, that work is all inner work. It's to do with your energy, it's to do with your beingness, not with your doingness. And that's where people trip up and they get scared, and they run to the known safety of their jobs, of their partners, of whatever it is, really. Because a lot of people, they don't like that kind of uncomfort and comfort that they don't really even understand themselves. So the process really then of conscious creation really happens when you stick it out, when you get uncomfortable, when sometimes things around you begin to fall apart, to fall away. And I'm not like just saying it to be depra here, but big changes really need to happen around you in order for you to become a bigger person, because the place you are going to, you've never been to before. And a lot of people don't understand what's going on within you. They will try to hold you back. They will try to give you a million reasons as to why you shouldn't do that. And it's very hard to do that kind of jump, that leap forward on your own. And it's not just even emotionally hard, it's also physically hard, it's mentally, it's spiritually, on all levels, because you almost feel like there's like chains that's dragging you back to go back. And that inner pull, that inner voice within you, it just so strong. And you know that no matter what happens, there is no ways you can go back to the things the way they were. So this is why I specifically wanted to focus on creation today, because I feel like it's a foundation of the entire work. Because without understanding what's going on with you, without being aware what that inner pull means and that void that you may be experiencing, it's very easy to dismiss it for like a midlife crisis, or just for being selfish, ungrateful, you know, whatever other words, labels you want to assign to ourselves, but that's not it. It's actually just, you are literally waking up. So the process then of conscious creation is, as I said, when things no longer fall apart, where you go to a restaurant, you used to love being, then all of a sudden the vibe isn't right. Or maybe your friend phones that you used to love talking to, and then all of a sudden you don't really know what to say to them, you know, or you go to work and the meetings where you were like, you know, used to thrive and contribute, you're like, I have nothing to say to you guys anymore. And there's just so many things, you know, there's so many signs, so many things that can literally happen around you. So when it comes really to the conscious creation, and there are a lot of like coaches who focus on this whole kind of spiritual side of it, you know, on the law of vibration, law of attraction, they're creating from the fields. And I'm talking about like Dr. Joe Dispenza, who was the person responsible, I guess, for my awakening. I mean, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. For me, opening up my eyes and realizing like I was living in a copy-paste reality. Then, of course, there is Bob Proctor, there is Esther Hicks. So there is many incredible teachers out there. And I've studied with or through some of them. I've done a lot of their work. But for me, what really made sense most was human design, because even though I'm very kind of, I think, in touch with the spirituality, and I understand what Dr. Joe teaches, what Esther Hicks teaches, and Bob Proctor, and I resonate and agree with all of them, I still have that, I guess, left side brain quite dominant within me, that I need to see something tangible. I've got to map certain dots, you know, in order to really, for me to make the best understanding that it's not just working with the energy in something intangible, but it's also, it's kind of both, you know, so I can trace my progress, and I can hold something in my hands. And for me, that's why human design was so powerful. And especially when it comes to creation, understanding the concept of magnetic monopole. So magnetic monopole, it is a human design term, but monopoles actually, it's, you know, it's something that's, it's a very small particle in quantum science. I mean, the quantum scientists already know about this particle, and it's positively charged particle, which carries single magnetic attraction, and its only job is only to attract. So in human design, you have a magnetic monopole, and magnetic monopole basically gets into womb, your mother's womb, at the time of your birth, together with a personality crystal. And I'm not going to go into all of these details. I'm just going to focus literally on magnetic monopole. And when you're born, it takes the place in your G center, which is just behind your heart. So the job really of magnetic monopole is to hold the two parts of you together. So it's your conscious, your unconscious, subconscious, your yin and your yang, your personality and your design crystals. And in essence, really, it holds together who you think you are and also who you truly are. And it's actually, we are designed to go through life and wrestle with those two parts of ourselves, between who we think we are, you know, the things we do consciously, we're aware of, and things we do subconsciously, and that is who we truly are. And eventually, they're really the points of life. In order for us to have fulfilled and happy lives, we need to come to a place where we live in harmony with those two parts. So magnetic really monopole is, as I said, it's responsible for attracting everything into your life. So let's have a, you know, I mean, let's reference to a thought. Let's say when you have a thought, it carries a certain vibration, because everything vibrates. You already know. All our thoughts, all our feelings, everything vibrates. It's a vibrational universe. And if you want to actually learn more about the law of vibration, Bob Proctor is absolutely incredible. So anyway, so when you have a thought, it causes a certain emotion, and the emotion has its own frequency, and that frequency calibrates your solar plexus, which is your emotional center, which then also vibrates at a certain frequency of that emotion. And in turn, your solar plexus, which is your emotional center, calibrates the frequency of your heart, where the magnetic monopole resides. So when the magnetic monopole kind of gets activated with that feeling, with that frequency rather of the feeling, it sends out it sends out a frequency into the field, into the cosmos, into the universe, however you want to call it, and then it attracts an experience that is in resonance with the frequency it's sending out. So when your emotions are probably predominantly confusion, stuckness, overwhelm, stress, I mean, those are the low energy emotions. And there's actually a Hawking scale where he categorizes and he assigns different numbers, I guess, to those emotions. So like fear, despair, doubt. Actually, fear is probably a little bit slightly higher. I can't remember exactly, but there's a Hawking scale that you can have a look at. So whatever then matches the frequency you're attracting to into your life. And then this is what dictates how we create experiences in our life. So basically, you attract into your life according to how you express the energy of self-love and trust and vitality, connection to the source, etc. And also, importantly, how open you are to receiving support. And then what happens, instead of people following that pull of that magnetic monopole, because the job of magnetic monopole is always to guide you towards your destiny. It's literally there, when you get this like not like a burn, but the feeling in your heart when you're like, oh my God, that feels so incredible, it feels so expensive, I wish I could do that. And that's when your mind starts, but you don't have the money, or the kids are small, or the time is not right, and it goes on and on and on. But that pull, that initial, oh my goodness, I want to do this, that's your magnetic monopole guiding you to whatever is correct for you right now at this moment in time. And the more you ignore it, the more you become separate from your body, and the more actually you then get stuck in your head and try to figure out all of the hows and whys. And then you end up making these decisions which are based on your previous memories, previous experiences, and you get exactly the same reality, which you have already created over and over and over again. So when we think really with our minds and we try to find in logical answers, we are in that state of resistance and control. And that's how we get stressed out and burned out. And now when you think what it is that you create in your life based on what you attract in your life, when if you're feeling burnt out and stressed, if you're in resistance and control, that's exactly what you're going to create, because of the pull of the magnetic monopole, whose job is just to attract experiences into your life. And, when it comes then into our lives, our physical reality, our jobs, our business, our partnerships, relationships, money, when we talk about creating this amazing life, we talk about changing what is actually manifested in our reality. And we can, of course, change it in different ways, right? We can push and force and manipulate and bend, things to our will. And that's what a lot of people do. And I'm not saying you can't be successful. I do know multi-millionaires who have created the business like that. And if I think about the ones that I do know of who have created the business like that, they either had cancer or depression or severe burnouts. Not a single person is actually come out of that, healthy. And now it's taking them a lot of time to restore the health. And when they run their business, it's from a very different level of energy. And I also know a lot of people who were successful, like multiple six earners, who have created the business from that energy, and they've lost it all because they ran it from the energy of fear and the energy of lack. So as I said, it's very hard, it's very time consuming, and we end up getting burned out and sick. You also then use a lot of energy. You're using a lot of energy then, and until you really consciously understand how to use your energy, how to live according to your type and your strategy, and work through the conditioning in your charts, you are limited to what you can change with your willpower alone, right? Because we already know if you were capable of achieving this incredible results in your life, you probably would have done it already. But because you don't know how, you don't know what the next step is, this mind is just simply cannot stretch you that far. So the only thing you will keep on creating is the known experiences and known results. So then we create our reality really based on conditioning. And but before we can create what we want, you've got to understand that what is actually influencing your perspective, which patterns that need to be broken, and what you must align yourself with to bring out the highest expression of your potential. Because when you look at your human design chart, I often get asked, am I going to be successful? Am I in the right job? Am I doing the right business? And what is important to understand that the human design chart contains your highest potential, and every single energy in the chart can be lived out as the high expression or the low expression. And unfortunately, a lot of people living out most of the chart in a low expression. And the thing is, creation is like a holistic component. It's not just you can create wealth, but completely neglect your health and relationships, or you can create amazing health, but you broke and you've got crap relationship with people around you. So it's kind of like putting different pieces of the puzzle together in order to be the actual conscious creator in your life. Now, what is actually keeping us from creating our desired reality is our conditioning. This conditioning comes from the environments, actually, from all of the toxins. It comes from the parental lineage, where we carry the DNAs up to 14 generations. And in terms of human design, it comes from the openness in the chart. And of course, the more openness you have, the more conditioning you will probably hold. Because until you really become aware of that openness and the wisdom that it can carry, most of the people, they get influenced by society, by the people within their circle, and of course also the planets and transits, which highlight certain energies at different times, different days. So whenever the moon moves, it will highlight different energies, and we respond to it differently, which is one day you may find yourself very indecisive, and the next day you've got this crystal clarity. It's always got to do with the moon and which energy is being highlighted at that particular time. So first, before we actually can create anything consciously in our life, the most important thing is to make space for it. And that's where I think a lot of people, they just simply don't do that. So a normal person would wake up, they'll take the phone, check some social media stuff, maybe read the news, swear at the boss because they sent them an email while they were sleeping, wonder what the day is going to be like ahead and how many meetings they're going to be dragged into, and whether they're going to have a fight with the children over breakfast, over lunch, and what the partner is going to say. And literally before they get out of bed, they have 1 million thoughts. They've read few emails, they probably have answered some of them, they've checked the social media, some news posts, and that's it. They're gone. They are in the program that they were in yesterday. And then during the day, they don't even slow down. They are just busy, they're busy either working or looking after kids or watching, consuming media, consuming the news. So there is no space really just to be. And they become those human doings rather than human beings. And not taking time to connect to yourself, you basically become unavailable. You become energetically unavailable for any ideas or inspirations to even enter your field. So when you get stuck in this, like, how am I going to do this? How, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay for this? How can I leave my job? All of those questions that you may have, you cannot get answers to them until you literally just stop and you make space to get those answers. Because our heads, they are designed for inspiration. They're designed for creativity, for generating ideas, but they are not designed for thinking. And especially with open head, and when you look at the chart, you will see there's certain openness in your chart. And if you don't have a head center defined, you are certainly not meant to be logical, and you're certainly not meant to find any answers with your head, even if you've got it defined. Nobody is. But then what happens is we feel under this tremendous pressure to think all the time, to answer questions, to come up with ideas, to be creative. And when we actually, if you really tune into it, we may even realize that the questions we're answering, the ideas we are getting, they are not even ours. They're from collective, or maybe from people around you, or from the planets in transit, or from wherever. So to have that kind of awareness, when you start that overthinking, it's like, whoa, okay, I have an open head center. I absorb ideas, thoughts, concerns, worries of the others. Is this truly mine? And this is when you actually want to have time, quiet time, to sit down and process it. Or you can go for a walk alone. It's just really good for people to be alone a little bit throughout the day, to really start getting out of their heads and dropping into their bodies, to create that stronger connection with themselves. Because if you don't do that, once again, you're going to remain in your head and you're going to be copying, pasting everything from your past experiences. And, then the thing is, with creating space and clearing things out of your day to make sure you have time just for you to either go for a walk or to sit down and just be. A lot of people then they look at it as the waste of time. And I've had that problem also. I remember sitting on a couch here one day and I had so much stuff to do, and I just closed my eyes and I'm like going, what are you doing? You have so much stuff to do. Like, you've got to make lunch when the kids come from school. You haven't finished this email. And all of a sudden, like, I hear this, it's not even a voice, like it's like a silent voice, telling me you are laying foundations. And this is exactly what we are doing now. We're laying foundations in order for you to build up on them, because without a solid foundation, without understanding who you truly are, how you function, how you use your energy, how you follow your strategy and authority, it's going to be very shaky. So you can start building your life or trying to create something, but then one wrong move and the whole thing will crumble down. So the important thing that needs to happen here is to create space in your life. Okay. And there are various ways of how you do that. The first thing, I would always recommend first thing in the morning, just to be with yourself, even if it's like 10 minutes a day, create your perfect day. How would you want your day to be? Like, if you were looking at your day at the end of the day, what would you be proud of? What things would you have liked to accomplish? So, there are countless ways on how you do it. Journaling also help like a brain dam. So it's just all about finding a way that works for you. So, the thing is, a lot of people think that being busy is being productive. And I think that's the mindset that especially comes from those who are in employment, because I was in corporate for 15, if not longer years. And always people who were busy somehow managed to get ahead of everybody else, and people who stayed up late at work, or they were always in the meetings, they were just unavailable, and they always seem to get promoted and get ahead of everyone else. So then you kind of create this patterns like, right, this guy's busy. I don't even know what he's doing, but if he's busy and he's doing so well, let me also get busy. And I remember sometimes I'll stay in the office, but like I would finish my work at like 2-3 o'clock. And I was like, why can't they just go home? And I know a lot of people who are busy and they're still busy. They've been busy for 20, 30, 40 years, and they can barely pay the bills. Because the thing is to remember in life, we don't get what we want, but we get what we tolerate. And you tolerate only as much as you can hold. And if all you hold is busyness, is frustration, is stress and anxiety, that's what you can tolerate. And that's what you're going to get back more of. So what you want to do really is you want to get rid of those energies. You want to get rid of the busyness and doingness. And we want to really start focusing more on beingness, okay? Going within yourself, tuning in, connecting, asking questions, not how and why, but what would that mean if I did this? Or, what would my life look if I took this choice or made this decision? And just observing yourself, even sitting quietly and observing your mind, because it may feel uncomfortable and probably will feel uncomfortable initially. But if you even start building it from 5 minutes upwards every day and just consistently checking in with you throughout the day, where am I? How am I feeling? Am I sitting like this? Is my jaw clenched, or am I feeling pretty good about myself? Constant reminders. I know some people who set alarm clocks for that, every hour, and the alarm would go off and they're like, right, how am I feeling? And if you're sitting there and you're trying to write an email and your jaw is clenched and you're just like feeling so frustrated, then this is the time we actually have to break the pattern. And that's the thing, you know, this whole thing, this whole, I guess, program is about breaking patterns. So you need to learn, you have to lead yourself on breaking pattern. And the only way to break a pattern is to do something opposite. So if before you find yourself sitting like this, frantically typing an email or trying to come up with like a social media post or some blog to write for your website and nothing is flowing, instead of trying to squeeze it out of you with pure will sense or pure sheer will, you're like, you know what, I'm actually going to pause and I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to go sit on a couch and I'm going to breathe. And this is how then you start breaking those patterns, okay? Because we can only really create in our life when we consciously pause. Because, you know, and that's interesting, a lot of people think pausing is like being lazy, and that's what I always thought. But now, like my coach says, she says, when you physically slow down, energetically you speed up. And when we energetically speed up, we begin to vibrate at a different frequency, right? So your energy rises, you're vibrating at a higher frequency. And remember, that then calibrates your emotional sensor, which calibrates the frequency of your heart. And this is when Magnetic Monopole sends out this completely new energy into the field and attracts an experience far more favorable to what you have been used to in the past. So remember, next time you feel rushed, next time you know, under pressure to think and come up with the answers, just go for a walk or pause, lock yourself in the room, quiet room for a few minutes, and just observe your thoughts. And just, you know, just even ask yourself, like, whose problem am I solving here? Whose answers am I trying to come up with?